President, please be seated. The court is back in session, and I give the floor to the Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan to put questions to the civil party. You may now proceed. Kong Samphan. Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, parties and your honors, and good afternoon, Madam Civil Party. I have some questions to put to you. First, I would like to ask you about your position or roles. You said that you were the team leader in a unit, and you were supervising 12 members. But I saw in your information form E3 4905, and I would like to quote from your statement. In my team, there was Comrade Preung died, the unit chief, and Comrade Lee, the deputy chief, and I quote. So in this statement, you said that Comrade Preung was the chief of the big unit. And this morning you also said so. So I would like to ask you, whether you were in the unit of Preung, that means Preung was the chief and Lee was the deputy chief, and you were a member, or does it mean that you were a team leader of a different unit? Answer. When I said that Lee was the chief, I meant that Lee was the chief in charge of the general matter, while Preung was the chief of the big unit. For me, I was the supervisor of a team. I led 12 members in my team, including myself. I led my team members to do the assignments set by the ANCA. Question: did you have any additional roles within the bigger unit? Answer. Talking about the bigger unit, I was the member. Question. So, in your capacity as the member of the unit that consisted of 3 people who were in the leadership roles of that big unit, is that correct? Answer. Yes. In the big unit, there were 3 people in the leadership. There was the chief, deputy chief, and member. I was the member. Question. Can you tell us, when did you start to occupy the position as member in the big unit? Answer. I was assigned to be a member of the big unit. I do not remember what year it was, but I remember that it was from the time when people were required to eat collectively, and that was the time when I was assigned to be member of the big unit. And there were 3 people in the leadership of that big unit, including Comrade Preung, Lee, and I. And for I, as a member, leading the team member to do the assignment set by the ANCA. For example, ANCA set the assignment for us to clear a hectare of forest, so I had to achieve it. So I had to ask various teams whether team 1, team 2, team 3 have accomplished the assignment. And so from their answers, I report to the upper level. Question. Can you tell us about people in the upper level? Because you said that Prương was the chief of the unit and you were a member of the unit. Can you tell us about the people who were in charge of smaller units? I was the one who were in charge of smaller units or teams. Question, were there the number assigned to those units? Answer, there were no number designated to the units. Simply we refer to as Prương unit or Lee's unit, but there were no specific number designated to them. Question, what about people above Prương? What were the name of those people above Prương? Answer, Comrade Lee. Comrade Lee was in charge of supervising all the women at Kampong Kraleng. Question, what about above Comrade Lee? Who else? President, please hold on, Madam Civil Party. Civil Party, I do not know who was above Comrade Lee, because Comrade Lee and Comrade So, a male, who were the one who gave the assignment to us, they referred the order to Angka, but we did not know from which level of Angka that the order came from. Question, I want to ask about your everyday work, particularly related to the imposing of disciplines upon people below you. Did you ever participated in deciding about the implementation of disciplines on your subordinates? Answer, during the regime, we lived under Angka. Angka were the one who gave the assignments, and we then relay the assignment down to our subordinates. But I never blame my team members. We all joined hands to work together, and in the evening we went to eat together. Question, in your units, were there anyone who conducted wrongdoing or did not follow the assignment set by your union? Answer, to my recollection, in my unit, there was no one who made mistake. Although those people may try to keep their energy, for example, they may be a little bit busy, a little bit lazy, or become a little bit sick, I did not report them to the upper level. I tried to keep to myself and encourage them to recover soon from their illness. I never had any plan to deprive people of food. Regarding food ration, it was the policy set from the above. For example, if people were given cassava or porridge to eat, we follow the policy from the party regarding the food ration. Question related to the work site where you engaged in doing your work and the distance from where your parent works. How far were they from each other? Answer. The location where my parents lived and where I lived were about 2,000 meters away from each other. But in that time, the two places, though were close to each other, were very far from each other. Question. What about the location from your workplace to your parents' house? How far were they from each other? President, please observe your microphone, Madam Civil Party. Civil Party. From where I lived to our work site varied depending on where we worked. Some places were about 500 meters away, some were about 2 kilometers away. So it depended on the assignment we were given that determined the location where we would work. So the distance varied. I could not tell you exactly, but sometimes it was far. For example, during the initial stage, we cut the cotton in the area adjacent to the village, but later on we were assigned to cut cotton somewhere at the rubber plantation. We was far. Kung Samon. I would like to ask you about the duration you lived at specific place after 1975. Especially, I want you to specify the time after you got married. To my recollection, you did not remember the exact year or months that you got married, whether it was in late 1976 or early 1977. So could you tell us the specific time when you got married? Answer. The day of my marriage, to me, I could not recall it in comparison to the date of the international calendar. It was perhaps sometimes in October, November, or December. I cannot recall the specific months, but it was the time when the cotton fruit ripened. Question. I wanted to ask you about the exact year. I want you to specify the exact year, if you can recall it. Answer. The year that I got married, to my recollection, was perhaps in late 1976, early 1977. It was based on my observation of the natural setting around me. So in rainy season, we started to grow cotton, and then cotton's fruit started to ripe. So I thought that it was perhaps in late 1976 or early 1977. Question. Can you specify the exact date of the birth of your child? Answer. My child was born during the regime, but I cannot recall the exact date. My child was also born at the end of the season. It was perhaps in December or January. The child was born at the end of the season. It was at the time when people harvested the low season rice. And people harvested that rice in the months of Kadak or October. Can you specify the year? Answer. My child was born in early 1978. The child was born in that year, and when the regime collapsed, my child was 1 year old. Question. I would like you to explain to us about a timing. You said that you did not spend time with your husband during the first 4 months after your marriage, and later on you were transferred to live with him, and you started to be pregnant from that time onward. So I would like to get clarification from you regarding the specific time that you lived with your husband. How many months? How many months you lived with your husband at his cooperative? Answer. I cannot recall the exact months and year, but I remember that I was allowed to meet each other 4 times. But during the 4 times we met, we did not consummate the marriage. It was about 1 month later on, I was called to go to my husband's place, and they told me a lie that my husband was sick and he wanted to see me. But I told them that I was alone. I did not want to go alone. And because of my refusal, they assigned the Sochit to accompany me to my husband's place. But I cannot recall the exact months that I went there. I remember that I went there after rice had been harvested. Question. I have another question related to your answer, that you said that there was an order from other people requiring you to live with your husband. I want to know who was the one who ordered you to live with your husband. Answer. No one ordered me. At that time, I tried to defend myself not to have sexual intercourse with him. And talking about the rape that occurred, my husband tried to explain to me that there was no one who ordered me to have sex with him, but my husband said that if we did not consummate our marriage, we would be in trouble. But I want to emphasize that there was no one ordering us to do so. Question. Did you discuss with your husband or ask your husband who require both of you to obey Angkar's order? Answer. I talked with my husband about our living condition. He told me because we have lived together and I have lost my virginity, so both of us should live together as husband and wives. No one forced us to live with each other. That was our own decision after we had consulted. Question. So you meant that during your discussion with your husband, there was no, both of you did not discuss about who ordered you to live together. President, Madam Civil Plot 3, please observe the microphone. Answer. My husband was the one who tried to convince me or console me. He told me, Angkar was the one who required us to live together, and we should live together. And that was the wordings from my husband. Question. This morning at 10:50, you talk about a person by the name Ta, or rather Tao. Could you tell us what position did the person by the name Tao hold? Answer. Tao was not present when the union was first created. But after there were incidents when people started to be arrested and killed, and then Tao emerged. I did not know about the position Tao occupied, but when Tao came, that person was very brutal. In every meeting, there was the presence of Tao, but I did not know what position that person occupied. Question. Can you tell us about the specific work that Tao did besides his presence during meetings? Answer. Talking about the implementation of work. Before the arrival of Tao, people could have time to take rest. When people work in the open field and they got cold, they could take a rest by finding the banana leaves to cover their bodies. But when Tao came, the person enforced strict rule regarding work. We had to work whether the temperature were hot or cold. So it was a very tense working condition when Tao came. Anyone had to work depending on their own assignment. For example, those who were required to sharpen the knife, they sharpen the knives, and those who prepare the plough, they prepare the plough. Question. I would like you to tell us the exact types of work that you observed when you saw, when you came into interaction with Tao, I mean the specific work of that person, beside the presence, his presence at the meeting? Answer: besides the presence at meeting, Tao followed our work, monitored on our work. The person had the responsibility to see whether we follow the timing set to us. If we could not fulfill the assigned timing, and then we would be invited for re-education session. For example, when we heard the bell rang, we had to go to the work site to carry us, and it was Tao, the one who set the amount of work that we had to fulfill. For example, each person had to accomplish 1 cubic meter of earth. For men, they could fulfill their assignment, but for females like us, we could not. We had to work until 12 o'clock and we could not have time to rest. Question: could you tell us who were under Tao's supervision? Whether Tao supervised the chiefs and deputy chiefs or the normal units members? Answer: to my knowledge, Tao was supervising general affairs. He supervised the unit chiefs and deputy chiefs and also the units members. And the reason I said so, because he was the one who could call any one of us to be re-educated. And he had the right to remove anyone.
Question: whom did he have to report to? Answer: regarding the reporting regime, I didn't know as to whom he would report to. At the time, there was a soul who was overall in charge, and I did not know whether Tao was more superior than Soul, since there was no clear announcement as who would be overall in charge. Soul was more lenient than Tao when he supervised us, but I did not know to whom he reported to. During the regime, I did not monitor the activities of these leaders. Council, thank you, Madam Civil Party, and Mr. President. I conclude my questioning. President, thank you, Madam Prip Sokern. Towards the conclusion of your testimony, which is now, you are entitled to make a impact statement. There is regarding harms you suffered under the democratic Cambodia and the crimes alleged against the two accused, Nuji and Kesampon, and that led you to become a civil party in this case. If you wish to do so, the floor is yours. And please observe the microphone. Civil Party, I'd like to speak about the suffering I endured under the 3 years, 8 months regime. I was young. I was separated from my siblings and parents. I was not allowed to have contact with my relatives, and we were separated and lived separately. So I did not have any contact or to knew how my family members were doing. Also for my distant relatives, namely my uncles and aunts, we were fully disconnected and we did not know what was going on with each other. They completely eliminated the feeling of family relationship, and that hurt us, since I was anxious to know about the livelihood of my family members and relatives, and it pained me the most that I did not know, or that I did not live together with my family members. Secondly, regarding the hard labor that I endured, I had to work day and night, and the food was deprived. I was given so little food, which was insufficient. During the 3 years, 8 months period, I never had any chance to eat cooked rice. The rice was given to me was mixed with corn. There is only one little portion of rice. The rest is a mixture of potato or banana or cassava. It's hardly to see rice grains in the bowl. And I could sleep 3 hours the most out of one full day cycle. And we were deprived of our freedom. And the sleeping quarter was so bare laid. There was no mosquito net or sleeping mat. We lived like animals. And the roof had holes, and sometimes we had to use banana trees to patch those holes. The living condition was so a misery under the regime. And another point that I like to talk is about my marriage. I was arranged to get married, and I was forced to have intercourse with a person that I did not like, and that I did not want to have intercourse with. And that hurt me physically and mentally. In addition, when I became pregnant, they did not allow my husband to stay with me or to look after me, or to give me supplementary food during my pregnancy or during my delivery. My husband was taken away and killed. And after the death of my husband, and after about a month of my baby delivery, the unit chief has threatened me to take my baby away to be killed. My child was so young, and they accused my baby of being the child of a traitor. I begged them to spare my baby, and I said if they were to kill my baby, they better kill me first, since my baby was so innocent. My baby did not know anything about the policy of the regime. Later on, Comrade Joan and Comrade Joy came with a rope to the stair to my house, and I was so afraid that I would be tied up, arrested, and taken away and killed with my baby. And that's the most pain that I endure, and the pain remains with me till today. And worse than that, all of my family members all died. None is survived. Even my nephews, they all disappeared and gone. And I remember all these miseries for the entire life until the day I die. I cannot forget it, because the pains that I suffered and the tragedy that happened, I cannot forget it. And I'd like to advise our compatriots not to have such leaders in the regime. People were used to engage in hard labors. People were separated from their relatives and family members, and we do not want to see such a regime returned. And I have a question through you, Mr. President. And the question is the following: during the 3 years 8 months period, why the leaders only engage in killing the people, in starving and mistreating the people, and that people were living like animals. Their freedom was deprived, and the food was insufficient, no proper clothing, no pagodas, no medical care given to the people, and why they created and allowed such a regime. That is all, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Apripasukhun. And the Chamber wishes to inform you that in the proceedings in case 002/02, Mr. Nunchi and Mr. Kyo Sampon exercise their rights to remain silent and not to respond to questions. And on the 8th of January 2015, the accused expressly informed that they are still exercising their rights to remain silent, and the Chamber instructed the accused or their co-counsels to inform the Chamber if the accused changed their position from exercising the rights to remain silent and to respond to questions. So far, the Chamber has not been informed of any change in the status of the accused in relation to the right to remain silent, and the Chamber cannot compel the accused to respond to your questions in this regard. And the hearing of the testimony of Madame Apripasukhun as a civil party is now concluded, and the Chamber is grateful of your testimony, and your testimony may contribute to the ascertainment of the truth in this case. You are now excused, and you may return to your residence or wherever you wish to go to, and we wish you all the very best. Court officer, please work with the whistle to make necessary transport arrangement for Madame Apripasukhun to return to her residence or where she wishes to return to. The Chamber will proceed to hear impact statements of some civil parties who claims that they suffered under the Democratic Cambodia regime in relation to the regulation of marriage. And the civil party who is the civil parties who are to provide their impact statements are the three civil parties to TCP 1066, 1067, and 1068. And the first civil party who is here to make the impact statement is to TCCP 1066. In order for the proceedings of the impact statements of the civil parties to proceed smoothly, the Chamber wishes to remind the parties to recall the memorandums that we issued on the 17th December 2014 in relation to the hearing of impact statements. In case 002/02, that is document E 315/1 in paragraph 8, in which the Chamber reminds the parties on the previous practice in relation to the difference of the impact hearings and the substantive hearings. The general statements of harm and suffering, and that is E 267, that is paragraph 14. pursuant to the practice, the Chamber requires the hearing of the impact statements to the facts limited within the scope of case 002/02. As for the general statement on harm and suffering, there should be no distinction between the harms and sufferings of the facts within the scope and the general harms and sufferings caused by the Democratic Cambodia regime. And the impact statements shall not avoid anything that would interfere with the fair trial of the accused. Also, another decision of the trial chamber to the request by lead co-lawyers for civil parties on the clarification of the scope of questioning civil parties in the proceedings, and the chamber informs the parties that the right to put the questions to civil parties on impact statements, that is to take into balance the fair trials of the accused. Also, the response of civil parties in relation to the impact statements outside the scope of case 02/02 does not violate the fair trial of right of the accused if parties have the chance to object to such question, that is document E365/2, paragraph 11. And court officer, please urge the civil party to CCP 1066 as well as the TPO staff into the courtroom. President, and the Chamber wishes to inform the parties and the general public that during the proceedings to hear the impact statements of civil parties, the Chamber actually coordinated with TPO to have its staff to accommodate and sit alongside the civil party to provide mental support to the civil parties during the impact statement. And today we have Mr. Bun Lam Hu, who is sitting next to the civil party. And good afternoon, civil party. What is your name? Answer: my name is Kol Nam. President, is it Kol Nam? Answer: I do not understand your question, Mr. President. President, is your name Kol Nam? And please, you have to see the red light on the tip of the microphone before you answer the question. Civil party, my name is Kol Nam. President, when were you born, Mr. Kol Nam? Answer: I only knew that I was born in the year of a tiger. I am over 60 years old, but I cannot recall the actual date of birth. Question: that is all right. How old are you this year? Answer: I am around 66 or 67 years old. Preston, please be sure. Is it 66 or 67? And please, you should only respond when you see the red light on the tip of the microphone. Don't rush yourself, and that would also mean that you have time to think before you respond to the question. Because when your response is not clear, then you will be questioned repeatedly on the same point, and that is a waste of time. And what is your actual age? Answer, I am 67 years old. Question, thank you. And where were you born? Answer, I was born in Kambah district, Takeo province. Question, where is your present address? Again, please observe the microphone. Answer, currently I live in Mundul Kiri. Question, what are the names of your parents? And also the name of your wife, and how many children do you have? Answer, my father is Lee, and my mother is Nyep. My wife's name is Bess. And during the regime, I did not have any children because my wife had 2 miscarriages. Question, do you have any children at present? Answer, no, I don't. President Mr. Kolnam, as a civil party in the proceedings before this court, you are entitled to make an impact statement in relation to the crimes alleged against the 2 accused, Noon Chi and Khieu Samphan, that were inflicted upon you during the Democratic Cambodia regime, and that led you to become a civil party in this case. And the harms and suffers that led to there were physical, material, or mental, and that were inflicted upon you, and that remained with you till today. And the chamber would like to ask the lead co-lawyer for civil parties whether during the impact statements of the 3 civil parties, how do you propose to proceed? Do the civil parties have to make their own impact statements, or do you need to lead them by questioning them first?
Thank you, Mr. President. We are going to put to them a few introductory questions to allow them to begin with their statements.
Yes, you may do that, and you have 30 minutes to do so. You may proceed now.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon, Mr. Kunnim. I'm going to put to you a few questions this afternoon in order to allow you to expand on your story. And before I put a first question to you, I would like to refer to your civil party application, which is document E3/4983. French ERN 009123331. Khmer 005558888. English 01060708. So that we may better understand your story before we bring up this issue of marriage. So if I were to summarize the civil party application, I understand that you were first joined the army Then you were in Phnom Penh, and then you were in Karachi, and you left to Mondulkiri in 1976. Is that the case?
I went to Mondulkiri in 1975, but at that time I did not remain there for long, so I returned to Phnom Penh for several months, and later on I was resent to Karachi, and then I was sent to be with the 2nd Division. I was there for a short period of time. Then Chen Soy, the commander, was arrested, and I was sent to the sector to be with Mr. Saupir, and the sector there was at the provincial level. So I was there with the person who was in charge of the sector military, that is at K11. I was there for a brief period of time. However, I was unhappy because I was forced to get married. Initially, while I was working, I was called by the name. However, it was actually a confusion because another person named Name. And then, in fact, the name is Nai. So, upon hearing my name, I was afraid. Because I was afraid that I might be implicated, as in the division, people were implicated on the accusation of being CIA agents. Then I was sent to leave to the area where there were women who were living at a row of houses. I was taken to take a bath. However, then I was sent back, and at the location in the evening, I was asked whether I like it, and I did not know what it means, whether I like it, because I did not know anything. And they said that where I was taken, there were women living there, whether I noticed any women there, and I said that I did not. And then they let me think for a while. Next day, I was sent to stress rise at K11 with other people. Then they teased me. They made a joke of me to other women, and they asked me again, and I said that I did not know what I thought, and they gave me 3 days to think about it. And if I did not give an answer, that I should be responsible for myself in the future. During the 3 days period, I became so worried because I did not know what to do, since I had a fiancé at my village. So, after the 3 days period, they asked me again, and I replied that I agreed to the arrangement for the marriage, despite my unsettling feeling, since I had a fiancé at my village. Because I did that in order to survive, so that I could see the open sky again and see what happened to the country. And that's how I failed. And because of this sadness, and I lodged a complaint to this court so that I could express all these things out. And I got married to my wife, and I decided to take care of her, because I took up the points that my mother was also a woman, and the woman that I married to was also a woman, so I had to take care of her. And when I went to my village, my fiancée remains unmarried, and I apologized to her that I had married another woman, and that would mean that it's a it's a dishonor on my side through her. And of course, this unsettling feeling remains with me until the present day. During the period, I worked non-stop. Even if I returned from my main work, I had to work again at night time to pull the rice seedlings. I lodged my complaint so that the lawyer and the court can assist me mentally so that I would feel relief and feel better.
Thank you, Mr. Kulnim. Can you explain to us how the marriage took place and what you felt the day of the marriage?
During the wedding day, I went there and I respected the organization, although I myself felt the sorrow and the pain inside me. When we were there, we were instructed to sit facing one another, that is, women on one side and men on the other side, and then food was between us, and we were given the 2 sets of black uniform, and the chief made an announcement that and advised that we should become husband and wife and take care of each other for the rest of our life. And if we were to divorce or to separate from one another, it means that we would be dead. And of course, people like Khieu Samphan knew what happened, and if he says that he doesn't know, that is his right to say so. But then we should know from where such a policy came. Some people dislike one another, and in addition, we were forced to engage in hard labor. And not only that we worked during the daytime, we also worked during the night times. That is to pull rice seedlings until 11 p.m. And that's the cause of our hardship and pain.
Connaissiez-vous, Monsieur Kulnam, connaissiez-vous?
Mr. Kulnam, did you know your wife before the wedding day? And can you explain to us what you felt when you discovered who your wife was, who she would be?
No, I did not know my wife. Of course, I had to follow the disciplines and the instructions during the Pol Pot regimes, as we had to follow the proverbs that we should not interfere or to put our feet into the water while the boat was moving, otherwise we would be dead. And of course, I saw many people disappeared, and I did not know what happened to them during the regime. And that is the cause of my fear, and for that reason I did not dare to refuse to the instructions. Although I had the pain, I kept it to myself, and I had to show that I respect the organizations. And I did that in order to survive. Otherwise, I would not see my lawyer in this court.
You said to the president earlier that you had no children. And that you had 2 stillborn children during the Democratic Kampuchea regime. Can you please explain to the chamber what happened, under what circumstances your wife lost the babies, and what your reaction was when you had to face this situation?
I had a baby, but he was not mature enough to be born. There was a miscarriage. I felt angry at that time, but I kept my anger to myself. I did not express it out. We had no right to express our anger. I also did not dare to oppose them. I took the dead body of my baby to be buried while my wife was staying at the hospital. And that was it.
Et savez-vous pourquoi?
And do you know why this child did not survive?
President, please observe the microphone, Mr. Civil Party. Civil Party. I knew, but I did not dare to talk about it because my wife was required to work too hard and she became exhausted, and that was the reason of her miscarriage. You know that in that regime it was very strict. If we were told to go left, we went left. If we were told to go right, we went right. If we dare to oppose, we would be in trouble. I was very angry, but I kept the anger in myself. But in those times, we had no right to express it out. That's why I came here to ask for help from your honors and from my lawyers. And I hope that people of the later generation would not face the same bad time like us.
Did you have any children after that?
Later on, after the Vietnamese liberated the country, I had another baby, but the baby did not survive because, again, my wife experienced the miscarriage. I have no children now. I have only nieces and nephews. I told my niece and nephew to study hard because I have no children. I have only them considering as my own children.
And the fact of not having children, does this cause particular suffering for you?
I feel painful, and that's the reason why I lodged my complaint with your counsel to express about the harms and suffering inflicted upon me and my wife. And such incident of having no children did not happen to only me, but also to other people. They also experienced miscarriages one after another. Perhaps they were too exhausted as a result of hard work. They forced us to work both daytime and nighttime. President, Mr. Civil Party, please do not repeat the same story. We acknowledge that you have had suffering and pain. That's why you came here to testify as a civil party. I would like you to give the answer based on the scope of the question. Just limit your answer to the scope of the question. Do not talk extensively about the same thing. Civil Party. So I have told the story already. There was nothing more. President, Mr. Civil Party, please listen to the question carefully. When you listen to the question and you understand it, and then you can prepare your answer.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the Civil Party has answered my last question. Before allowing the other parties to take the floor, because I see that our time is limited. You explained that you got married in a place called K11. Can you explain what this place was? What was K11?
Et pourquoi vous étiez à...
And why were you yourself at K11?
I was sent from the division. I was assigned to transplant rice, and sometimes I was assigned to help other people building shelters. So those were the kind of assignments given to me. And that's all I can tell you.
Aviez...
Were you sent to K11 as a punishment, or was it simply a new assignment?
That was considered as a punishment because my division commander had already been arrested. And because I knew that it was somehow punishment, that's why I did not dare to protest or oppose the assignment.
Thank you. You were talking to us about your wife. Can you tell us a little bit more about her? Who was she? Was she Khmer? What can you tell us about your wife? How old was she? What was her ethnic origin?
My wife was an ethnic minority living in that area. For me, I'm ethnic Khmer. For my wife, she's an ethnic minority living in Mundulkiri. We were arranged to get married.
Do you know how old your wife was when you got married?
I do not know, because she talked about a different language regarding the date. She talked about that, for example, the corn growing season and this and that. It's different from us.
Vous avez évoqué tout à l'heure...
Earlier, you spoke of the fact that you had a fiancée in the village and that you saw her after the regime. Did you think at any point after the regime of getting separated from your wife?
I wanted to separate from her, but I could not because we got married already. I had to stay with her because I thought that my mother was a woman and my wife was also a woman. So I chose to apologize to my fiancée and compensated to her, and later on my fiancée also got married.
You indicated that your wife was Penong. Could this have been a problem for you at some point in your life to have a wife who was Phnong from an ethnic minority?
I stayed with her. She did not say anything about me, and I did not say anything about her. And because of that, we lived together with each other peacefully. She did not criticize me, and I did not criticize her. So we understood each other, and that's why we could live with each other.
Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Mr. Civil Party. I think this is a good place to stop. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, thank you. It is now convenient time for the break. The chamber will take a break from now until 3 o'clock. Court officer, please assist the civil party at the waiting room during the break time. And please invite him along with TPO staff into the courtroom at 3 o'clock. The court is